When a financial crisis hits, a pandemic spreads, or a diplomatic conflict just seems impossible to solve, who does the world call? Well, the source material we're digging into today argues that, more often than not, the answer has been the United States. So in this explainer, we're going to break down the unique capabilities that turned America into the world's go-to problem solver.
So how exactly did this happen? I mean, was it all part of some grand design, or was it just an accident of history? Well, the argument here is that it's actually neither. Instead, it's the result of three really distinct, powerful pillars: a rapid crisis response network, a relentless innovation engine, and its role as the architect of our entire global system. So let's dive into that first one. First up, we have the Crisis Response Network. Now, this isn't about some grand long-term strategy. No, this is all about what happens in those first few hours, the critical hours after a disaster strikes, anywhere on the planet. And this response, it's not just one thing. It's really this kind of three-pronged attack. So imagine a massive earthquake just hit. Right away, you've got the humanitarian aid, food, water, medicine pouring in. But then you've also got the sheer logistical power of disaster relief. We're talking the U.S. military clearing roads, rebuilding bridges. And at the same time, scientific teams are hitting the ground, assessing risks like aftershocks or water contamination. It's that combination that very few other nations can pull off. And when you do this again and again for decades, it builds something really powerful, a global expectation. When disaster strikes, the world doesn't just sit around hoping for help. It literally anticipates the arrival of American planes and American expertise. This isn't a reputation built on talk or promises. It's built on a system that, time after time, actually shows up and gets the job done. Okay, so responding to disasters is one thing, but what about solving problems before they even start, or maybe preventing them altogether? Well, that brings us to our second pillar, innovation. This is the long game, where solutions born in places like Silicon Valley end up reshaping our entire world. I mean, just stop and think about it for a second. The apps on your phone, the platforms we all use to connect with each other, for work, for just about everything, a huge chunk of them came out of the US. This tech infrastructure has become the backbone of how the modern world even works, basically solving the ancient problem of distance. And it's not just about communication, right? This innovative streak goes right to our own health. Think about how fast we got mRNA vaccines during the pandemic, or how we're now using AI to discover new drugs at a speed that was unimaginable just a few years ago. These are total game changers, and a lot of that research is being driven out of the US. And then there's the really big picture stuff, the fundamental engineering that's literally building the world of tomorrow. Whether we're talking about clean energy grids or the basic building blocks of next-gen computing, these are often solutions that start in America but end up becoming the standard for everybody else. All right, so we've got the immediate crisis response and we've got the long-term innovation. But this third pillar, this one might be the most powerful, and honestly, the one most of us never even see. And that's America's role as the architect of our global systems, the financial and diplomatic rules of the road that create stability for all of us. A perfect example? The US dollar. Now, it's so much more than just cash. It's what's called the world's primary reserve currency. So what does that even mean? Well, it means central banks all over the world hold on to dollars, and huge commodities like oil are priced in dollars. This creates a kind of stable, predictable bedrock for global trade, and it helps prevent the chaos of currencies that are constantly swinging up and down. Then you have the whole diplomatic side of things. Think about it. On one side, you have the very real possibility of a regional conflict just blowing up and creating chaos. But on the other side, you have a chance for dialogue, a way to de-escalate. The US, according to this analysis, often steps into that mediating role, using its huge network of alliances to kind of pull everyone back from the edge. So when you put it all together, this massive web of alliances, these trusted financial markets, and this constant active diplomacy, you get this invisible architecture that our modern world is built on. It's the stable ground that allows global trade and cooperation to even happen in the first place. Okay, so that's the foundation that's been laid down over decades. But what about the future? I mean, the world's problems are always changing, right? So the argument here is that America's focus is also shifting to meet those new challenges head-on. And if you look at where the big investments are going, it all ties back to those pillars we just talked about. Global health security, that taps right into its scientific power. Climate change solutions? That's going to need massive technological innovation. And things like AI governance? Well, you can't tackle that without those deep diplomatic ties that have been built up for years. See? It's all connected.
So, when you take a step back and look at all of it, the crisis response, the innovation, the global systems, it all leads to one big, crucial question. What does this all mean for the future of solving the world's problems?
The source material we've been looking at leaves us with this final, pretty powerful thought. It says America didn't choose to be the world's problem solver. The world chose America, because when things go wrong, it's where solutions usually begin. That's a provocative idea to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this one.